So we're going to go on Abbey now, it seems. So that's interesting that they are deciding to change the map every time. I'm guessing that means that they're trying a line out. Contrary to how the Pirates did it, where they did one map over and over again with different strategies to see how that works. They're going for the, okay, we'll play the strategy on different maps and just try it out on different maps, which I'm not sure if any one is better than the other, but I do believe that focusing on one map at a time would allow you to focus and refine. And I think that's what they're missing here. They're not refining. They're just practicing, which is cool. Practicing is obviously needed. Now, if any of you didn't know, that SPALE are actually the one of the, if not the biggest Finnish teams at the moment. They were in the IEM Masters, sorry, the Intel Extreme Masters in Poland. Now, that was not so a good result for them. I believe they were knocked out in the group stage, which left not many guys. Let me just quickly check that. Did they actually get knocked out in the group stage? Not entirely sure. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. Now, SPALE have done something recently, and they've recently started acting a little bit more seriously. They went to the IEM, as I said, and then after it, they kind of went, okay, I reckon we can do better. So they changed their lineup into two teams. They have their main SPALE team, which is for the ones watching today, and they have their main lineup that you've seen today, but they also have another team that they're trying to press forwards, which is actually their team from the IEM. It's a bit weird how everything works out there. Let me just make sure I'm not speaking rubbish there. Making sure. Yep, it is. Orelfish is the only guy that you recognise from the IEM team, and that he stayed with the main team. But other than that, they actually split off that team to be a secondary team, kind of their esports team. So we'll see if they become better than the main team or the official team for SPALE. Right. They're almost finishes. Right. Go into the game and we see that they've made their selections already. SPALE have gone for VK2801, AMX 1390, AMX 5100, AMX 1390, T1, Lorraine, and the VK. Now, I think the Lorraine is preferred by a lot of teams for their mobility. They've got a mobile team, so there's no need to have an immobile artillery. Because the French artilleries are generally much faster, they pick them instead. So let's switch over the icons again and move QV over. Ooh, can't do it that way round. There we go. So we're going to switch teams again. And sticking on Abbey. Cool, we're starting. Awesome. Just making sure the stream's still live. Just to remind you guys, we're on an 8-minute delay, so I won't be able to answer your questions in the chat, but I will be taking a look as best as I can. And we are now on Abbey on the team of QV again. Quo Vadis. Making sure my icons look good and in place. There we go. There we go. Pretty. Alright, so we have VK, T29, saving a tier point there so they can have the extra VK, Lorraine, and the AMX 5100 versus a more traditional lineup of AMX 50, AMX, VK, VK. And I say more traditional, I say that's currently more traditional. And it looks like they've forgotten about me! No, they haven't. Yay!
One of our tracks is damaged.
What's he doing? What's he doing? What's he doing?
We're dead for it. Everyone get out.
Right, anyway, let's have a look at the map. What's going on? Heinz is over there into the middle. Let's go jump over to him quickly before something happens. Okay, so Heinz is round the middle in Abbey. This is usually a very important place because you can see down this, and over here. However, one thing that's usually used by a tier 1, which they do not have, is sitting around here, which lets the 50-meter rule protect this column. If anyone tries to come down this lesser path, they get spotted by the 50-meter rule through the rocks, basically. However, they are now covering every direction. Now, we know where their main forces are purely by the location of the T-29. This is kind of the center of their force because it's the slowest thing. As I said, speed is everything. So they have the AMX 5100 here, the T-28, but they're keeping the T-29 out of sight, which is really interesting. It allows the enemy to engage without realizing what they're getting themselves into. And here we go. We see that there is a huge selection of SPALE forces here, and the first shot, ouch, goes miles past by Laura, and now they're moving up. Now we have an interesting fight going on here. SPALE is trying to push through with all their forces, apart from the one VK here. He's trying to guard, and we have the order from QV to flank, to push through the middle and go for a flanking maneuver. So let's quickly switch to the middle before we miss this fight. YOLO! Here we go. And, oh, ammo rack is now hit on Heinz. That's going to be gutting, but he still has managed to take out Dova. And he gets hit himself by something, but it bounces off with almost no damage. I guess that was the T1 that hit him. And he's going to now try and push through. Here we go. The QV push is heading through into the base. They're going to try and find the artillery and shut it down before they lose their T-29, which is over here retreating to a defensive position. However, this is a bad choice because this means that SPALE are allowed to retreat. They know these guys are coming here. They're going to probably come back to try and retreat. Here's the T1 protecting the flank, which means the artillery was over here. It's been guessed wrong, but they haven't retreated. They've marched straight on in, knowing that the enemy forces are totally split up. They decided, sod going back, we know where artillery is, we're going to go forward and take out all of QV before going back to defend. Awesome. Let's see if it works out for them, because the Lorraine is here with the T-29. Now, they might ignore these two and go straight back home. It looks like they are, because Muppet is there poking around trying to find them. Now, if I was in the shoes of SPALE right now, I'll probably be up here trying to aim down while getting a VK to come over here and spot. But the AMX 5100 takes out the T-29 driven by Laura, but Muppet is also taken down by Schnitzel. And let's go to Schnitzel cam and see what's going on here. Okay, he's now scouting around to see where the remainder of the forces left from SPALE are. If the SPALE are going to push forward, I don't think they are, because they would have ran into the Lorraine by now. The Lorraine's now moving up, realizing this, but the team's captured. It was absolutely too late for SPALE to react. They obviously didn't get back in time, and their play to make sure that the enemy forces were destroyed before returning did not pan out because they didn't defend your base. You got to defend your base, guys. You gotta defend your base. The rules are simple. You gotta kill enemy forces or capture the base whilst defending your base. And they didn't do that. It's quite rare in the 7v7s to actually get that, because most teams are able to defend very successfully unless they're all dead. But that's really cool. Awesome. Right, so now they're asking what map they're going to play, and I'm going to quickly check about their team lineups. Now, who's playing now for QV? I'm going to quickly have a look at my notes for QV and see if I can find out what's going on here. Okay, so Heinz is one of their light tank specialists. So we've already seen him play incredibly well in every light tank he's done, and that's, if we look at the previous game here, from Heinz, again, good damage and a kill, still alive at the end. The artillery didn't do much this time on either team, I believe. Let's have a look. Oh no, I'm wrong. SPALE's only damage came from really their artillery and Agia. Yeah. QV's damage came out from Tingle, a lot of it. I think he pretty much soloed the T-29. Wait, no he didn't, because the T-29 is on his own team. He must have taken out everything on his own. Interesting. There's a lot of damage out for people. I guess a lot of damage was not actually kills there, so that's fine. Okay, cool. So yeah, so we have their light tank specialist there, and I'm going to switch into the game so you guys can see their names instead of just my face. Right. Schnitzel's also light tank specialist. We can kind of tell that because they were doing. he was doing incredibly well. However, right now we're seeing him in an AMX 5100, so that does go against what his specialist is. Laura is actually a heavy specialist, and so is Major Goldfield. We did see that in the first map because they were in their T32s. And again, they are in the heavies here, T29 and T32. Then we have a Maniac. He is a heavy or the T1. And again, he's in the AMX 5100, so that matches what he's meant to be doing. And Tingle is their heavy or arty substitute. He's not actually their main artillery, but Tingle does play a mean heavy. We've seen that today. So that's cool. Who have I missed? Anyone I've missed? Ivan. He's their arty player. So Ivan is their dedicated arty. They don't actually have more than one. So that obviously means that they don't really play many arty formations, because if they only have one full dedicated artillery and one substitute, that means a maximum of 2 artillery, which is cool. I really rarely see many heavy arty plays in 7 versus 7. And we are ready to go. Next game starting up. I'm going to try and talk to you in the chat and see what's going on. Cool. You guys are enjoying yourself, I hope. Water, essential hydration. Now, one thing to note about all these games is that they are trying out often different strategies. Even if they're using the same lineups, they could be using different positions that they're used to going to. And we haven't watched these two teams in a while, so I can't really comment on if they're doing anything unusual right now. So we'll just judge them on how their individual performances are today. Remember, it doesn't fully reflect their performance as a squad in general, or a clan in general, because they often are playing, as I said, different strategies, right? They're training. Let's get back in the game. Right, we have pings going off into the middle and on the right hand side, so I'm guessing they're not going to take the town unless they're all going into the town and just having a few scouts go down the outside. We're going to find out shortly.
Time to roll.
Here we go. Do they have anyone can kill me? No, they don't. Apart from
Fire.
Oh yeah.
This vehicle is heading.
Oh, we haven't changed the signs over. You guys don't want to have the wrong signs on the wrong side, right? Okay, we have SPALE a thumb. Right. I was right, they are going out to the field, and obviously one person's going to be coming down here. I'm surprised no T1 is going over here, guys. Into the town on the west hand side, that should be a T1. As we said, they're kind of like a tripwire. Tripwire T1. That's what T stands for, tripwire 1. They have one use as a tripwire. If they get spotted, they get killed, but they let the team know, very importantly, where the enemy are. Now, I've seen this tactic used before. I'm trying to recall who used it, and it didn't go well for them. Basically, what they did was sit back with their speedy tanks and let their heavy tanks push one direction. Like the T-32s move up, and then the 50s, 100s try to move around the outside. However, what happened was the T-32s get taken out on their own, and that's the end of that. Because when the 50-100s turn up, it's just too late. And then I believe they were capped. So it was on this exact map. So, oh, here we go. The oops, I went to the wrong T1. We have spotted someone of QV there. Laura in her T29. Oh, he's got to run away. Can he survive though? Because it's actually really important for the T1s to survive their first encounter. They may only have one use, but there he goes. Oh, the Bison gets him. Great shot from Ivan, showing off his skills as an arty player. And this is the high tier arty there, making sure he's told his teammates not to fire, because remember, guys, MX 5100s don't want to waste a shot because, well, you know, why would you waste a shot and have to reload for a T1 Cunningham if you can wait for your Bison to take the shot? T-32s are moving up as expected, and we do have an incredibly similar lineup on both sides. We have a Bison and a T1, or two T1s over here, which means that they took the T-32s instead of a T-29. They got the Bison there instead. So we'll see how much worth that Bison has, and that's really the only difference. So it's going to come down to either if the Bison is worth its weight in gold, or the skill of the players. So this is going to be a really tense, exciting match. I believe both teams are coming to the field. I'm not sure if I agree with the T1 location, because anything coming down this area here is totally free. The T1 maybe should be repositioned over here, where that allows any direction coming through to be spotted. So I'm a bit wary of where Moki decided to plant himself. But here we go. Here's that very curious tactic of moving your T-32s forward and leaving your AMX-50 to go flank. Because if they realise this, if your AMX-5100s are noticed, spotted, and they react, QV could easily react and take them out. Because if they advance onto the T-32s, the AMX-5100s will not be able to support. And as we see them moving out, we'll enlarge the map so you guys can see the locations of what's going on. Okay. So I'll remind you guys, we're in training with SPALE and QV, Quo Vadis. Never remember. Vadis, that's it, Vadis. Quo Vadis. I don't have their names on screen because unfortunately I wasn't able to get the text editing to work. And in XSplit doesn't like to put text into things. But here we go. Let's move the minimap down, move over to Earlfish and see how things go down. Earlfish goes straight into the front, takes a shell, and QV back off. They don't want to engage head on. We have Hines around the side there and his T1. Keep an eye on him. Let's get rid of the minimap and have a look around what's going on here. We have QV all behind in defensive formation, but they are surrounded. Laura's out on the side of the T29, but the T32 is getting his position behind. Let's move over to Muppet and see what's going on here. And he is going to take a lot of damage here. He's probably going to get taken out. He's tracked. He can't move back and he's down. What a great set of shots there from QV, singling out a T32 to take him out. So that means Dova is now very out in the open here because there's no protection on this side. And Aggie hasn't seemed to notice, and he's going to go down as well. And unless Tingle's ran out of shells. Has Tingle ran out of shells? He's got one left. I think he's got one. I'm not sure. But on the other side, they've done exactly the same back to them. And we've lost over there a T-32 and an AMX-5100. This is close. Either way, depends on the shells go down. Oh, and Agad managed to actually take out a Maniac. It wasn't Agad, actually. It was Dova. But it looks like it's really bad for QV right now, as they are losing hand over fist. However, all the autoloaders are empty, which means it's T-32 versus T-32, and QV only had one T-32 at 200 health left, and he goes down. Zudova is the successor here. But the Bison showing his weight after the reloaders have gone down by taking out the T1 over there. And Earlfish is running away at 23 HP. I guess he's going to try and get a ram on it, because if he gets a ram, that's him dead. Who actually emptied their canister first? I believe Earlfish was first into the action, and he has reloaded, but so is Schnitzel. So anyone who gets the next shot off, and oh, Dover from the rear, take out the last one. So can the Bison take out a T-32 and an AMX-5100 on his own? I doubt it, but we can see he can at least take out Earlfish. Great play by SPALE here. They managed to, although they lost the T-32 at the first go, they had to use a lot of shells to take him down. QV used a lot of shells from their autoloaders to take that one T-32 down. Now, although they did it incredibly efficiently, they didn't successfully take out the other T-32, and in so lost their T-32 and had their last one down to 300 health. Remember, after the AMX-5100s go down, the T-32s reign supreme, unless the AMX can retreat. So, yeah. QV mentioning that that's their worst map. So, maybe an excuse, but that's why you've got to practice it. Ah, Prokhorovka. I've been practicing that word. Prokhorovka. Prokhorovka. That was a really cool match. Next time I'm going to go free cam. I haven't got my zoom out mod installed, unfortunately. It was one thing I noticed, but I wasn't able to get done. I've requested it from Locustan, but unfortunately he didn't give it to me. I'm really bad with modding, as you guys know, right? I play the game vanilla. I don't actually play with any mods. This is my casting setup that's unable to play with. If you try to play with this setup, you just wouldn't be able to. It's got lots of UI elements removed, and it's just really meh. It's really cool for casting because it's got all the tools like the full screen minimap and all that sort of jazz. which is nice. So, what I expect from Prokhorovka. Now, this is a map where it's very much, whoopsie, open, and you don't, generally speaking, see any light tanks. Back at Earl of Steel, the sort of lineups you saw here were T-50-2s, maybe 2 artilleries, but mostly 1 artillery. At worst, most you had a T-32, but normally a Patton or some form of med, like being the toughness or being the tank. I never really saw them working out very much. So basically we're expecting to see a lot of French tanks and a lot of fast tanks. But here we go, the 110, the new, where is it, the 110? Let's look in the tech tree. It's the new Chinese tank, isn't it? So China, 110 is tier 8. I'm in the wrong one, I'm in Russia, not China. Apparently I'm not good with flags. 110. Okay, let's have a look at it. It's very new, so I don't expect anyone to know what it's good at. Hull armor, 120 on the front, and very high slopes. Look at this pike nose. It's a modern version of the IS-2, but completely in a different direction. The turret looks very much like the IS-2, not like the IS-3's bowl, but very much flatter and wider. I don't know how it's good for bouncing shells, but it shouldn't be very good. It should absorb shells quite poorly. But 130 armor is reasonably respectful. However, you go have a look at the French tanks here. You're going to have a look at the penetration of the 50 and the 90. Let's go into the 90s cannon. Penetration of 170. So you're not really going to see much on the defensive sides for that tank. So I'm interested to see if they would actually use that. No, it looks like they're not. It looks like they've actually decided that they're not going to pull out the 110. I would say they'll be using it as a medium tank if they're not, but I am looking forward to seeing the WZ more. The WZ-131 seems to be doing really well. So, yeah, the WZ-131 is actually a really nice little tank from what I've seen. It has really good damage outputs and really good shape. It's kind of like the T-62, but more combat orientated rather than scout orientated. So we're looking here on the QV side. There they are going to go for mostly light or fast tanks. In fact, pure. And we are seeing that Pershing. There you go. SPALE are using the Pershing that I did guess would have, and that's because they're using the Object 2601 for the extra splash. For the extra splash damage. That, however, means that he can't move very well. The object's incredibly slow compared to the Lorraine, which means they're very static. Once you find out where they are camping, there's a good chance you can pin them down. But that's what the Pershing's for. He's there to defend the Object 261. Cool. Now we have to switch the signs over again. I'm going to do it like a ninja. You wouldn't notice unless I had to tell you. Right. Here we are in game 5 between SPALE and QV in their training tonight. It's quite interesting seeing how these guys are able to train because they are...
Let's get this show on the road.
Because of all the different tactics they have. Whoops. I moved out of the way. Oh, they are taking the 110. They must have changed that back. They must have changed that back. And I really want to see how this 110 performs. So let's keep an eye on Schnitzel and see. That was a very last second change. I really didn't expect this. So this tank must be incredibly fast, or able to deflect all the shots from the autoloaders. Going into a defensive position, much like the Pershing will be on the other side of the field, but we also see that the T-50-2s are already making their runs through the middle here. Now this is really important about the physics updates when it comes to the scout tanks. It's very much a different game. It's very, very much a different game. Oh, hold on, what's going on there? Okay, good. That's working. So I was getting a flashing on my delay server. I was hoping I didn't lose it. But it seems like has gone down for an AMX 5100 shot. And that's exactly what I was just talking about. The scouts have to be incredibly careful about moving on this map. They can easily skid. T-50-2s easily skid around And here we go, the Major Goldfield is running away. As we said earlier, Major Goldfield specializes in heavy tanks, but he's making the right call here and trying to run away from the AMX 1390s. 1390s are incredibly bad at chasing because they really need to sit still or be at point blank range to hit anything. They only have 6 shells. But Heinz takes one for the team and decides that, hey, I'm only a T1 and I'm going to take it. But he's trying to get out of there. Fantastic play from Heinz, totally delaying his death and keeping, doing a huge amount of damage to SPALE's, and the Chinese tank comes down to try and take, but tracks himself and unable to do anything. Eventually the T1 goes down. However, the artillery has got line of sight over here, so I wouldn't be surprised if a shell comes down any second now. Nope. He's managing to get away. So if we go back quickly into the middle here, we have their positioning. It's really nice seeing that SPALE are not sitting back and just defending. You often see that on this map, but the Pershing has actually come forward, which is very unexpected. It's a very aggressive tactic here from SPALE, and QV are responding tremendously by pushing up the 2 column. They're saying, okay, yeah, you can push up slowly there if you like. It's no problem whatsoever. We'll just get over to here, where you're going to have to come back, because you can't stay there, because we can easily hit you with artillery and from every single location. T1 over there is now being found, and he's going to use his tripwire up. But in the meantime, he's going to take out, or try and take out Major Goldfield. But Goldfield dinged quite a few of the shells, so that's really good for him. And in the main, on the main field, we have Laura managing to try and chase Muppet, but as I said, the 1390s aren't particularly very good at this. But the Pershing goes down. Very nice shot from Ivan, proving on this map that if you're not fast, you're dead. And I don't know why the Pershing was on this side of the railroad tracks. Kind of suicide if you do that, and we just saw that. So Muppet's getting chased down here by QV. 2 of their guys. Laura's coming around the back. Oh, look at that power slide there, guys, as he goes up the hill and goes sideways, but didn't lose his tracks. You've got to keep your cool, guys. His gun is damaged, but he used a repair kit on it and trying to take out Muppet here. They're going around a circle. Neither of them were trying to stop him with evasive tactics. Probably was scared of artillery. But it looks like we have a victor. Oh no, we have a victor of Muppet because he was tracked. He was able to aim and take him down. However, Laura was sat there trying to aim and was able to finish off his teammate. Revenge kill. Back into the middle though, we're looking good for, very good for QV, because the last tank of SPALE is the Chinese medium tank, and he goes down as well. I'll say light tank. Whew. Kudos for SPALE to trying to attack and be very aggressive in this map. However, this map doesn't really reward people who do that. So people who rush headlong and charge into combat like that. Yeah, if you charge into combat, you're normally left at a massive disadvantage. And as just proven there, QV punished SPALE for being so aggressive and took advantage of it. I'm really impressed with QV. They are, at the moment, not really training. They do these sort of training battles, and that's about it. Quote from them would be that they really just, they're focusing on internal training at the moment before really going to any lands, but they are going to be starting to do that soon. So, last map for today, it seems. Awesome.